In today's video, we're reacting to my very first game room tour.
Team Canada.
Hey, what's going on, guys? SeeJayAre here, back with another video. This is the beginning of a brand new series, a series that I've been meaning to do for years now, but I've just been too darn lazy to do it. So this series is essentially going to be called Reacting To, and what we're going to do is react to people's game room and collection tours. Yes, I have a Christmas tree up. I know it's a little premature, but I love Christmas. So here in my office, by the way, this is where I'll be filming these videos. So yeah, we're gonna take a look at other people's collections, game room tours. That's, if you guys don't know me already, please subscribe. But this is kind of what I'm known for, is my collection and specifically my game room. I do a game room tour every year. This one was done 11 years ago. So what we're gonna do with the series is, yeah, I'm gonna kind of, go through these videos. I'll pause and start the videos. It'll be a good chance for me to highlight some smaller YouTubers and then kind of give my input on some larger YouTubers collections as well. I'm not here to diminish other people's collections or, talk down on people. That's not what the goal is here. Certainly don't want to do that. In this video, you'll see I absolutely loved my collection when it was in this spare bedroom, and I actually kind of miss it. It's not the size of your collection that we're going to be focusing on here. More your setup and stuff like that. I just think it's really interesting to see that. There will be instances where I say, oh, I'm not a fan of doing this, so I will be critical at times, but that's not what I'm not here to put other people down or their collections down or the way that they have set up. I know people's setups are unique to them, so and everybody does everything for a reason. So anyways, we are going to go ahead, and the first episode, we're actually going to react to my own video. So this is a video I made. I want to say this is maybe the fourth or fifth video I ever made in my entire life. It shows. I'm very nervous. This is before I would even show my face on camera. So bear with me. I talk very monotone. I'm very boring. I'm very dry. I drag on. It's taken me 11 years to get this comfortable talking to a camera. In the beginning, like I would classify myself as an extreme introvert, and it shows in this video. So it's hard to get through. We'll skip through some parts. I want to try and keep these under about a half hour, but we'll go through and we'll be able to see my collection in the early years. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and start this video.
Hey YouTube, SeeJayAre here. Today I'm going to be posting my room tour for my 100 sub special. I'd like
100 sub special. So that was a huge deal for me. I was talking to nobody for a long time. Did I say this is my third or fourth video? This might be a ways in. This might be a year in.
to thank everybody who's subbed for me so far. I appreciate each and every one. Thank you to all the people who've plugged my channel or mentioned me in videos.
Just noticing something in the comments that I remember here, if you can see this. If you like this video, check out my epic game room tour. New tour coming January 1st, 2014. I remember people commenting on that. I posted the wrong date there. So yeah, let's continue.
I've had, I think, 60 subs in the last 2 months. I think I was at 30. Yeah, I was at about 30 something 2 months ago.
Hopefully, you guys are hearing this. My
in 2
voice
months
is
for
so
me
low.
is really good. So again, thank you to all the new subscribers, all the old subscribers. Thanks, everyone.
It's so
anyways,
rough.
here we go. Right off the bat, as soon as you open my door here, you see on the right hand side is my older consoles here. 2600 on top there, to the left.
Okay, so here's fail number one. This is one thing I always mention with game room tours. The overview of the game room before you get into individual sections is key. You want to give people a good idea of the space before you kind of hone in on a particular section. And I, of course, learned that with subsequent game room tours.
Left is the Vader 6-switch wood grain, and
So yeah, I go through some older consoles here.
A ton of this game. Xbox Live Arcade, I think with up-res graphics and online and stuff, so I'll probably pick it up on there too.
So this is my very first arcade machine. I picked this up, I want to say about 16 years ago, 3 to 4 years prior to moving into this house. I had this actually in my parents' place for a bit. But yeah, and I still have it today. It's running like an old PC with MAME. Things have changed quite a bit.
Game. I picked up this arcade machine, I think
Here we go.
3 years ago. I've only been collecting for 3 years.
I want to say I paid $1,500
Before
for
that, I
it.
had the new gen stuff, but I started with an NES I think 3 summers ago. Pretty much on 3 years right now, I think. Started with an NES and 15 games, and then started buying stuff that I had when I was a kid, and then I kind of went back and bought stuff that I missed, and it's been snowballing ever since.
So that's a story that many of you have heard many times. I, kind of pulled up my own Nintendo, started buying games I had as a kid, then kind of wanted to buy all the other ones, and that's how my collecting journey began.
I've been collecting pretty aggressively. Yeah, so this arcade machine,
Collecting really aggressively. At this point in 3 years, I had already. I'll probably say how many games I have total, but probably close to 2,000 already.
arcade sticks that I own: Tatsunoko versus Capcom and Street Fighter 4.
This is now Andrew's
Arcade
bedroom.
machine.
For those of you who are familiar with my family, my kids, this is Andrew's bedroom now. It was a spare bedroom at the time. Actually, they were all spare bedrooms at the time because I don't even think Andrew was born yet.
Took doors off my closet
just
here because I needed more space.
So this was key. I actually removed the doors from this closet, put my CRT in there, gave me a ton more storage, another place to house another gaming setup. It actually worked out really well.
I was running out of room to store games. This is my retro tube TV I just picked up recently. Actually, replaced I had a 27 inch, it was a bit too small. This is I believe a 32. This was an absolute nightmare trying to get in here.
I think I still have that
You can
TV
see it's
downstairs.
playing Ocarina of Time right now. I'm currently playing the 3DS remake, which is phenomenal.
Pretty sure that's my main CRT that I use in my retro gaming area.
Mind blowing, really. I absolutely love the game. Right below the TV there, on the left is the NES, obviously. Super Nintendo, N64, and below that, hopefully you can see here, Genesis or Master System Model 2. In the middle there is a Genesis Model 2, and
So I still have these pieces of furniture. This is an IKEA shelf. I think I found them both on the side of the road. I have got another one since, and they're fantastic for retro consoles. It'll fit pretty much anything. I think it just barely fits the TurboGrafx, but most retro consoles will fit in there. Kind of perfect for these setups. I'm going to skip ahead slightly here. I go on about each individual system here. Yeah. Let's see what we got up top on the shelf.
Hero. A couple spare consoles.
So that was probably my first Funtastic console that you saw there. Eventually got them all. The Smoke Black was by far the hardest to get. Or Smoke. I don't know if it's Smoke Black.
Hero. A couple spare consoles. These boxes here
Good old
filled
Retron
with,
3 there.
spare manuals, posters, stuff like that. As we go back here to the left of the door when you enter, this is my Sega collection here. These are my boxed Genesis games. I think I'm at 100 and something Genesis games, and maybe 150. Below that, Sega.
So my Saturn collection isn't all that much bigger at this point than it was back then. Same with my Sega CD. So it looks like I got quite a few to start with. I used to buy bundles. Back in the day, this was 11 years ago, you could still get really good deals on Kijiji. I remember Kijiji's like Canadian Craigslist. I remember buying a bundle from a guy for $250. It included like 6 or 7 boxed consoles, I think 200 games, a bunch of RPGs. It was really good stuff. And it was a lot of fun back then because I was basically keeping everything I got because I needed everything. And that was, I don't know, a lot more fun back then.
Saturn. Some pretty nice titles in there. Panzer Dragoon.
I don't see a whole lot of Saturn stuff these days anymore. I'm hoping this setup is working. I'm turning down the volume to talk over myself a little bit. Hopefully this is picking up. It's the first time doing it, so bear with me.
A lot of memories. Not a whole lot of great games for it, but yeah, as I said, I played a lot when I was a kid. One of the systems I missed out
Yeah,
on.
I had a bitty, I had a pretty big attachment to the Sega CD. It was one of the consoles I had growing up. I got one at Christmas. I remember Christmas, my buddy and I both got one from Canadian Tire. It was like a bundle. I think it had been out for a few years at that point. So him and I were big on the Genesis. I don't even know if we were initially aware of the Sega CD. It wasn't something that was on our radar. So that Christmas, we both got the Sega CD. I remember we played a lot of Sewer Shark.
As a kid was the Sega Master System. Like most people, I was a Nintendo kid. I did.
Now, I got that Sega Master System while working at the hospital. I remember I was browsing Kijiji while I was working, and I saw somebody post the Master System inbox with, I want to say, 6 or 7 games for $60. So I quickly I'm going on break, drove to pick it up, got it, brought it back to the hospital. I think I mentioned the hospital a little later here, but I used to do a lot of things while I was supposed to be working.
I did have a friend that had it, so I had some experience with it, but the Sega Master
My friend Andrew was the Sega Master System kid growing up. Lots of My Hero, I remember.
System is a phenomenal system. I love to collect for it. It's not too hard to find the games box.
Yeah, I still really enjoy the Master System today.
Better than, say, Nintendo games, obviously. So it can be really fun to collect for the Master System. Yeah, up top here, just my Sega CD box.
I'm sure that those two consoles were in that lot that I was talking about earlier. There was 6 or 7 really good box consoles.
It's a stand. Yeah, I just kind of hung it on the wall there. I had an empty space. So. I'll back up here. And this is my 67-inch DLP, LED DLP. Phenomenal TV. It's a...
So DLP, rear projection TV, this was a big deal. This was a massive TV. Picture looked great. For this time, 11, 12 years ago that I got this, it was a big deal, especially in this room. It looked great. It was, a little thick. It was technically a projection TV, but I think it's LED projection. Full 1080p was great TV back then.
A couple years old now, but when I bought it, it was easily the biggest TV you could buy for the cheapest price. So it's still phenomenal for games. The picture's outstanding. Below that are my more current consoles. Sega Dreamcast, Nintendo Wii.
Cable box. Remember cable boxes?
Slim, PS2 Slim. Bottom left there is a PS1 arcade stick.
So this entertainment unit is actually still in my game room today. It's holding up well.
Better 4 stick for the 360. To the right of that is some older retro stuff. Up top here is my box and television games. A couple loose ones there too. Followed by Atari 2600 below. I just stuck the flash back in there, and I've got a plug and play 2600 game there.
Total crap.
Below that are my loose 2600 carts. I think I'm at about 120 Atari games, or 2600 games. I don't have too much trouble finding 2600 games. Beneath that is ColecoVision. A couple plug and plays there, and that little mini arcade. I showed that off in one of my previous pickup videos.
So I mentioned that 2600 games are relatively easy to find. That has stopped. I haven't picked up a 2600 lot in probably 5 years. It actually seems that people want to hold on to their 2600 more than anything. People will mention it, and it'll always be followed up with, "Oh, I'm not letting go of that." It'll be like, "Oh, I got a Super Nintendo and a 2600. Yeah, I can't sell the 2600." I think people who have them seem to think because they're super old that they're worth money. They are, of course, worth some money, but...
This year I picked that up for a couple bucks. ColecoVision box, couple box games.
ColecoVision,
a bunch of loose TI-99 4A games.
Speaking of consoles that don't get much play, the TI-99 4A.
Top here, this was a Fallout New Vegas display when the game originally was released.
Still in my game room.
I took the display case off and just kind of used the end piece there. It worked out pretty well.
On the same shelf, actually.
My 360 Slim box, SeeJayAre Rorona for the PS3
SeeJayAre.
Special Edition. To the right is my Halo helmet. Finally found somewhere.
Still have that in the game room, of course. That's a great little
storage unit here
piece
for spare cables, controllers, memory cards.
That's in the parts department today as well.
You can see there the top shelf. It's got a couple wave birds in there.
Skip forward here a little bit.
These shelves hold, I think, 550 DVDs.
Each.
So, yeah, extremely cheap shelves. They were $100. The material's pretty terrible, but once...
So shelving was a major issue back then. There wasn't a whole lot of great media shelving. Now I ended up building my own, but I do have these downstairs on either side of my main TV. Atlantic something. They used to be... We actually bought these in the States and hauled them all the way home because there was nothing in Canada at the time. So finding decent shelving at this time was not easy.
Once I got them on the wall and anchored there, it's really nice. I'm really happy with how it turned out. Extremely low profile. It takes up very little space, which is awesome. Above that are just some more console boxes, 32X Dreamcast, my Dreamcast.
It's interesting to see how early I had a lot of this stuff that's still in my game room today. All of these boxed consoles are still behind my main TV. It's interesting to go back and see just how long ago I got some of this stuff.
Keyboard, PS1, PS2 stuff, my old Xbox, my old 360 box, Death Smiles above that.
So this was 360 era at the time of this recording,
Right
PS3.
top here's my Dreamcast collection, top left. Going into
Please excuse.
I love the
Please excuse the
TurboGrafx.
shaky video.
I didn't have this as a kid. This is one of my favorite systems right now. I got a bunch of loose games here. I don't have anything crazy rare in my collection.
Yes, you do.
I pretty much collect anything I can.
You're about
get
to
my
show
hands
it, I
on,
believe.
as long as it's cheap.
Maybe at the time it wasn't.
Extremely patient. Years ago, I'd buy every new release that was out, and it's just I've kind of gotten over that. Thank God. I'll wait a couple months.
So today that's changed a little bit. I do get access to review codes for games, so I don't have to buy a whole lot of current gen stuff, which is great. And of course, Game Pass helps out with that a lot. But at that time, I was buying like every Madden release, every NHL, and I just finally got to the point where I'm like, I'll just buy these a couple months later. I don't need to play them all the day they come out.
Still, games are, have dropped in price, or I can find it used. Yeah. So, anyways, my point is,
Get to the
if
point.
there's a game I want, I just feel like at some point I'll find it cheap. So it's all about patience. That's actually a good tip for collecting.
We're looking at you, Ubisoft
Real
games.
quick, spending a lot of money on eBay. If you're just patient, I'm in this for the long haul, so I know I'll run across stuff at some point.
And it's, 12 years later. So I, in fact, am in it for the long haul. Here's a gem.
My more rare games here, I have like Air Zonk.
So the story behind Air Zonk was I was at Microplay and a guy came in with a bunch of turbo stuff in a bag. He had a Turbo Express. He mentioned that it didn't work. I remember Microplay bought it all for $80 to $100. And the guy left, and the guy at the store at Microplay was like, "Oh, thanks for not, saying anything or stepping in." I guess maybe he thought I'd be like, "I'll offer you more," which I would never do. He's like, "Do you want anything out of here?" I'm like, "Oh, Air Zonk." I'm pretty sure I've heard that's an awesome game. I think the guy sold it to me for $30, so that was a nice score.
Nothing too crazy. Final
Trying to
Fantasy
see what's
stuff
in here. There's Einhander, right to the far right there. Einhander was in that bundle that I talked about earlier with the consoles. The guy called me back 2 days later and was like, "Oh, I found another game, Einhander." And I was like, "Oh, cool. I heard that's a cool shmup." And he just gave it to me. He didn't charge me any extra. And now that's worth, I don't know, hundreds of dollars. I guess that's a thing we can do here, right? We can look up how much stuff costs. If we just switch over, here's my audio thing I was just downloading. Let's go to price charting. I'm going to give you Canadian prices, of course, because I'm located in Canada. Einhander. So Einhander, complete in box. Actually, not as high as I thought. 204 Canadian. Let's do the math for you Americans. $150. In my opinion, that's a pretty darn good deal. Back to our regular programming. Oh, that's not who we want to see. That's my tutorial videos on how to set all this up so I could hear the audio and have you hear the audio. All right.
I just picked up the
Skip
Black
ahead
Label Final
slightly.
Fantasy Xbox stuff's followed by the Wii. You can see there I've got 2 copies of the Mario All-Stars.
Still have that?
Edition. Probably just hold on to Max.
They didn't go up in value like I
Right
thought they
below that's
might.
my DS.
Those Mario collections on the Wii.
More Wii. Followed by my GameCube stuff. Mostly just first-party Nintendo stuff for the GameCube or GameCube exclusive. Below that.
So at that point, I was only collecting the exclusives for the GameCube, and I was collecting everything for the 360 and similar like exclusives for PS3. One of the dumb moves I made back then was to not keep every GameCube game that I came across.
That is my Nintendo Power Collection.
My Nintendo Power Collection, I don't think has changed a whole lot since then. I found a huge lot, I think, at a garage sale. Probably more than half of those, if not all of them, at one sale. I still have them. I wonder what those are worth. I don't even factor those into the worth of my collection because I got to find a good way to go through them at some point, but they're worth a ton of money these days. I think I have all the way up to about number 15, maybe 17. Going backwards. So the higher number, not all of them. Basically, I have from like 17 to 200 or something.
To the left there is all game guides, magazines.
Now I got rid of most of my strategy guides. I got rid of most of my strategy guides a few years ago.
Up top here, or to the right here, this is my Nintendo corner. Up top, you can see my all my boxes there for all previous Game Boys and DSs. It's a micro box up there. Super Nintendo, obviously.
Now let me quickly tell you about the worst thing I ever did in my collecting journey. A year or two prior to this, probably, maybe even, yeah, it had to be about then. It was early days of garage selling. I want to say it was like maybe my third weekend going out garage selling. I passed up a Panic Restaurant for $30. I bought every other game for like less than $5 a piece, and this one game, she's like, "Oh, we need 30 for this one. It goes for like 80." And I was like, "Oh, I don't need that one. I'm sure I'll find it again someday." What an idiot. I still know vaguely where that house is, and trust me, over the past 10 years, I've thought about going door to door asking if they were the house that had the Nintendo games. By far my biggest blunder. I just didn't know. I just assumed I would find it again someday, and of course I probably won't.
NES action set. I think I'm at 280 NES carts. On the left there are my boxes, NES boxes. Below that, Super Nintendo, obviously. Some of my boxes to the left, and then followed by N64. I got a couple spare NESs there. You can see my N64 collection here. I think I just broke the 100 mark. In my spare time at work, I made up a bunch of labels for the spines of these games.
I still remember picking up a lot again when I was supposed to be working. Went to go pick up a lot of games, brought them back to my break. So I worked nights, so there was no one around. Brought them back to the break room, and I was in there with Q-tips. They had tons of isopropyl alcohol at hospitals everywhere. So I was in there cleaning the contacts, and some girl I knew walked in. It's like almost like she caught me doing something else that I shouldn't have been doing in there by myself. That's how awkward it was. I'm like, I was so embarrassed. I was in there cleaning my cartridges and using the label maker at the hospital to put end labels on.
Games, they can be a nightmare trying to flip through these games to find the one you want. Yeah, so I'm pretty happy with how they look. It's not too bad. The next shelf here, the bottom, just a control deck box there. Some more 64 and Super Nintendo boxes. My Power Glove on the shelf there. Above
It's
that
so
is
bad.
my Virtual Boy. I think I've got about 10 Virtual Boy games.
Unfortunately, my virtual boys are in various states of disrepair. I pulled it out, I want to say a year or two ago, and the sound wasn't working, and one of the eye shutter screens wasn't working. It's kind of a complex process to repair the ribbon cable on that. It's something I need to do because I am jonesing for some Virtual Boy.
Some more boxed NES. Some of my favorite titles there, kind of on display. Game Genie. And then up top here is all my Game Boy stuff. Boxed OG Game Boy there. Some boxed games to the left. Original DS. Some Game Boy Colors in the back. A couple Game Boy Advance. SPs. And my GBA Micro, which I love. It's a great little system if you can find it.
I want to say I got that for $60, boxed and complete. At the time, that was still a pretty good deal. It was going for probably double, triple that.
The only action figures I own right here.
Boy, that went out the window.
Yeah, I ordered these from Deal Extreme. Extremely cheap. I think they're pretty cool. Definitely not an
Wait a minute. Deal Extreme, that's a throwback right there. That's like pre-AliExpress, I believe.
action figure guy. Hopefully won't get into that.
Oops. No, I'm not big on action
And then
figures.
to the right here is my futon, where I do all my gaming.
Boy, has that futon seen a lot of action over the years. That futon was the bed that I slept on in like all of my teenage years in my room. Good memories of that futon. We still have that futon.
Sometimes sleeping.
Thank God for that cover.
Coffee table here. These are my current handhelds. The PSP Slim, DSi XL, 25th Anniversary Mario Edition.
Flex.
PSP Go. I get a lot of use of the PSP Go. I hacked it. And
Love
you
that
can
thing.
Store games you own, of course,
Good one.
on the internal memory, which is pretty nice.
So I used to play that at work. Tactics Ogre. I used to play all the time on that thing at work.
Nice. And then followed by the 3DS, which, as I said, I'm playing the crap out of right
I think the 3DS had just come out at this point.
remake. Yeah, and then there's 1,001 video games you must play before you die. Great game room coffee table book.
Yeah. I don't know if I'd say great anymore.
I think that's about it. As I said, I'm gonna I'll go through my individual collections in upcoming videos.
And I think I eventually did that. Not much else to see here. I did collection videos, and collection videos actually did quite well. Just me going through every single game in my collection. So anyways, guys, thank you so much for joining me. Bear with me as I figure out the process and see. I have to go back and listen to this and see if my... One thing I noticed I kept doing is keeping my cursor over the video so it was showing the play controls. I got to stop doing that. Want to see if it worked when I actually brought the volume down to speak over top. I know I actually need to pause these videos when I'm doing someone else's to make it like a transformative work. I don't want to just take someone else's video. So I got to be a little wary of that. And of course, I don't want these videos to be much longer than 20 to 30 minutes. And some game tours are pretty long. So we'll figure out this process. We'll get a little bit better as we go. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Feel free to let me know in the comments whose game room I should feature on this channel and react to and go through their collection and game room tours. Let me know in the comments below. Let me know if you enjoyed the video. As always, thank you for watching. If you haven't done so already, subscribe. Hit that bell to be notified. A lot of people don't even see my videos anymore. I stopped uploading regularly for quite a while, so people aren't being fed my videos. So if you use the bell, you'll see my videos. Subscribe. Thank you guys so much for watching, and till the next episode.